Welcome back to LeapTalk English, where real conversations help your English grow naturally. I'm Mary.
And I'm Albert. And Mary, before we start, can I say something that might make a lot of people feel very seen today?
That is actually my favorite kind of opening. Go ahead.
Have you ever looked at someone who seems completely put together, confident, successful, always smiling, and thought, that person has everything figured out?
Oh, absolutely. Many times.
And then you find out months or years later that they were struggling deeply the whole time and nobody knew.
And suddenly, everything looks completely different.
Because the person you thought was fine wasn't fine at all. They were just very good at looking fine.
And that gap between how someone appears on the outside and what they're actually carrying on the inside is exactly what we're exploring today.
Because I think this is one of the most misunderstood things about people and about pain.
So today we're asking, why do people who seem completely okay often turn out to be the ones hurting the most? And what does that tell us about how we see each other?
As always, we're doing this in clear, natural B2 level English. So just relax, follow the conversation, and let your English grow as you listen.
And stay with us until the end for our word tour, where we slow things down and explain the most useful words and phrases from today's conversation.
And we would genuinely love to hear from you today. Have you ever hidden how you were really feeling from the people around you? Leave a comment. You don't have to share details. Just knowing you're not alone matters.
All right, let's begin.
So, Mary, I think the first question worth asking is, why do people hide pain in the first place? Because it seems like such an exhausting thing to do.
It is exhausting, deeply exhausting. But the reason people do it goes back to something very human, the fear of being a burden.
Yes, that fear is enormous for a lot of people.
Because somewhere along the way, many people learned that their pain was inconvenient, that expressing it made other people uncomfortable, that showing struggle made them seem weak or needy.
And so they learned to package it differently, to smile, to say, I'm fine, to perform okayness even when everything inside feels like it's falling apart.
And the terrifying thing is, they get very good at it.
Very good, because they've been practicing for years.
And the better they get at it, the more invisible their pain becomes, even to the people closest to them.
And I think there's something else happening too. A lot of people in pain, especially people who have been carrying it for a long time, genuinely believe that nobody would understand.
That if they showed the full truth of how they felt, people would pull away.
So they show a curated version of themselves, the version that is manageable, presentable, safe,
And from the outside, that curated version looks like strength.
when really it's protection.
And I think that distinction is so important because we often praise people for being strong, for keeping it together, for never falling apart in public.
And sometimes that praise, as well-meaning as it is, actually makes it harder for people to be honest.
Because now their silence has been turned into a virtue, and admitting struggle would feel like disappointing everyone who thought they were strong.
So they keep going, deeper into the performance, further from the truth.
And that distance between who they show the world and who they actually are becomes its own kind of pain.
A loneliness that is very specific. The loneliness of being surrounded by people who think they know you, but don't really know you at all.
And I think that is one of the loneliest feelings a person can experience.
Because you're not alone in the room, but you feel completely alone in the room.
Yes, and it's invisible to everyone else because you look fine. You're smiling, you're functioning,
You show up, you do the work, you laugh at the right moments.
and nobody sees the effort that costs.
So what kinds of people are most likely to do this? Because I don't think it's random.
No, I think certain people are much more likely to hide their pain than others, and often the people we would least expect.
The helpers, the strong ones, the people who are always there for everyone else.
Yes, the person who always answers when you call, who always has advice, who always shows up for other people.
Because helping others gives them somewhere to put their energy. It feels productive, it feels meaningful, And it means they don't have to sit quietly with their own pain.
which is uncomfortable, so they stay busy being useful instead.
And nobody questions them because they seem so capable, so present, so okay.
And high achievers as well, people who are very successful in their careers or studies.
Because achievement becomes a way of proving to themselves and to the world that they are fine, that they are more than whatever they're feeling inside.
If I accomplish enough, maybe the emptiness will go away.
And it doesn't go away. It just gets temporarily covered by the next achievement.
Until the next achievement, and the next, and the next.
And from the outside, it looks like ambition, like drive, like success.
When really, sometimes, it is running, just in a very impressive direction.
And then there are people who grew up in environments where emotions were not welcome, where showing feelings was seen as weakness or drama.
And those people learned very early, before they even had words for it, that the way to be safe was to be quiet about how they felt.
And that lesson goes very deep. It becomes almost automatic.
So as adults, they don't even always realize they're hiding. It's just what they do. It's just who they became.
So what can we actually do with all of this? Because I don't want this conversation to just be, look, pain is hidden, isn't that sad?
Right, there has to be something useful here.
For ourselves and for the people around us.
I think the first thing is this: stop taking okayness at face value.
Meaning when someone says, I'm fine, don't always just accept it and move on.
Not in an intrusive way, not in a way that puts pressure on someone, but in a gentle way, a real way.
Like, are you sure? Because I have time if you need to talk.
Or just, I've been thinking about you lately. How are you really doing?
That word really in the right tone can open a door that I'm fine would have kept closed.
Because it signals I'm actually asking. I actually want to know. I'm not just being polite.
And sometimes that is all someone needs to finally say, actually, no, I'm not okay. And I haven't been for a while.
And the second thing, for people who recognize themselves in this conversation, is this: your pain is not a burden. It is not a weakness. It is not something you need to manage alone.
Needing support is not the same as being too much. It is just being human.
And the people who truly care about you, they don't want the curated version of you. They want the real one.
Even the messy parts, especially the messy parts.
Because that's where real connection actually lives.
And the third thing, and this one applies to all of us, is simply this: be a little more gentle with everyone around you, because you genuinely do not know what someone is carrying.
The person who snapped at you, the person who canceled plans, the person who seems distant lately.
You don't know what's happening behind the smile, behind the composed face, behind the I'm fine.
And a little extra kindness, even when it doesn't seem necessary, costs you nothing.
But to someone quietly struggling, it can mean everything.
And I think that is a beautiful place to leave today's conversation. Let's go into our word tour.
Let's do it.
First word, burden. A burden is something heavy that you carry, physically or emotionally.
When you feel like a burden, it means you believe your presence or your problems are too much for others.
For example, she never talked about her struggles because she didn't want to be a burden. Or, feeling like a burden stops many people from asking for help.
Repeat after us. Burden.
Burden.
Next, curated. When something is curated, it means it has been carefully selected and arranged, usually to create a specific impression.
For example, his social media showed a curated version of his life, happy, successful, and effortless. Or, many people show a curated version of themselves to the world.
Repeat. Curated.
Curated.
Next, composure. Composure means the ability to stay calm and controlled, especially in a difficult or emotional situation.
For example, she maintained her composure throughout the meeting even though she was devastated inside. Or, keeping your composure in pain takes enormous energy.
Repeat. Composure.
Composure.
Next, a very powerful phrase, at face value. To take something at face value means to accept it exactly as it appears, without questioning whether there's more beneath the surface.
For example, don't always take someone's smile at face value. Or, She took his answer at face value and didn't realize how much he was hiding.
Repeat, at face value.
At face value.
Next, high achiever. A high achiever is someone who consistently performs at a very high level in work, studies, or life goals.
For example, many high achievers use their success to mask deeper emotional struggles. Or, being a high achiever doesn't automatically mean someone is happy.
Repeat, high achiever.
High achiever.
Next, intrusive. When something is intrusive, it means it goes too far into someone's personal space or feelings in a way that feels uncomfortable or unwelcome.
For example, she wanted to ask how he was feeling but didn't want to seem intrusive. Or, checking on someone doesn't have to be intrusive. A gentle question is enough.
Repeat, intrusive.
Intrusive.
And finally, composed. When someone appears composed, they look calm, controlled, and put together, even when they're not feeling that way inside.
For example, he always looked composed at work, but went home exhausted and empty every evening. Or, appearing composed on the outside doesn't mean someone is okay on the inside. Repeat, composed.
Composed.
And those were today's word tour words and phrases.
Together, they capture everything we talked about today. Hidden pain, the masks people wear, and the small but powerful ways we can reach each other a little more honestly.
And remember, the people around you are carrying more than you can see. A little more gentleness, a little more realness. That is always worth something.
This is Mary.
And this is Albert. Thank you so much for listening to LeapTalk English. We'll see you in the next one.
Bye, everyone.
Bye!